Hello, 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 and welcome back to the GTD podcast. I'm the Norix. I speak for the podcast, and we are here once again. Definitely didn't miss a week. Definitely didn't miss a week at all. This is definitely was definitely
Yeah,
no
this is the 20th.
miss in
We're
episode.
just choosing. Yeah, Aaron's just choosing to release it a week later for no particular reason.
Yes, exactly.
Yep. Because that would be logical.
Exactly.
We have to keep up that bi-weekly schedule, you know?
Yes, the accidental bi-weekly schedule. But yes, I'm here once again, as always, with my two beautiful co-hosts, Matthew and Devin.
Hello?
Hello?
Yes, maybe Max, if time decides to give him a chance sometime in the future.
I was going to say, I don't think he has time right now, does he?
Probably not. I haven't talked to him.
He's a very busy person.
You know, he is. He's a very busy person. I don't know why, but
he does have a new phone, though.
Yeah, something like that. But yes, I guess I'll briefly explain. Didn't have an episode last week because didn't feel like it. It's basically as simple as that. I just was,
Woo, and the crowd goes wild.
I mean, yes, it does seem like a very dumb reason, but in context, I was just not feeling great.
Yeah.
So, it's just a matter of perspective. And my perspective was that I didn't want to do it. So there you have it. Makes perfect sense. Yes,
Sure.
we'll have several things coming up the show. We're going to be talking about what we've been doing these past 2 weeks. Then we'll be discussing trailers. Hopefully we'll get through all of them because I neglected to mention the one thing I meant to mention at the start of this damn thing. This will be a shorter episode than usual, probably only about an hour. So we'll see how much news we can get through. Also, this news is technically a week old, but that shouldn't bother anybody. It's worth talking about. Doesn't matter. Then we'll be talking about host topics if we have any, and even if we have one, we might not go through it to its conclusion just because we're on a bit of a time crunch today. Then we'll be discussing news, and maybe we'll get through all of it. I don't know. We'll just see what happens. Then shameless self-promotion and the end of the show. So without further ado, let's get into it. Matthew, what have you been up to these past 2 weeks?
What have I been up to? I've actually played a little bit of Minecraft.
Wow!
Out of all the games.
Flabby dozy tastic man.
What?
Continue.
Anyway, yes, I played a bit of Minecraft, D&D, and working on stuff.
Fan-flippin-tastic.
Lining stuff, normal, usual stuff.
The usual, as it were. All right, then.
Sure.
Is that it?
If that is usual.
You got nothing to talk about in perpetuity?
Amazingly, I don't have very interesting things to talk about now.
All right, then. Devin, why don't you be more interesting?
What even happened this week? I spent this week dog sitting. So I didn't really do video games because I didn't bring my mouse, but I did get to watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Haven't you already seen that?
Yes, but I got to watch it again.
Okay.
And I had the realization that the content that you watch affects what your brain thinks about, and that affects what you do with your time. Videos on YouTube, probably about 30 hours of it a week. And so
gracious.
And so I was very obsessed about magic for some reason. Where was that obsession coming from? That maybe not obsession, but like that, like it kept coming back to my mind when I was doing other things. With the other 50 hours of my week.
Yeah.
And because you only get like you only get like 80 to 100 hours in a week to spend your time on because you sleep for the rest of it.
Yeah, you do sleep a lot as a human being, you know. It is amazing how much time is
Devin particularly.
technically wasted just by sleep,
Yeah.
you know.
No, Devin
So
actually doesn't sleep
that's
that
what I
much.
was
He
up
just
to.
sleeps during the day.
Watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer and chilling and hanging out with the dog and going on an hour and a half walk every day total. Good old jogging
not that-
walk, the doggo.
That's pretty good
Yeah.
for, you know, walks and stuff.
And hilariously, I thought yesterday, you know what? I should go visit my good friend Aaron today.
Mhm.
And then last night I heard Mom say, "Oh, he's gonna hang out with his sister today." I was like, "All right."
Consequences. No, not consequences. What's the other word? The word I'm actually looking for. Coincidences. They sound
yeah.
alike. Not consequences, coincidences is what I meant to say.
It was still funny when you said that. You're like, consequences.
It's like, that doesn't make any sense. All right, so that's what you've been up to.
That is all I've been doing. Just
All right.
walking dog, sitting. I wrote, I think 15. Currently, it's 15,000 words, but I wrote it in 2 days.
It's quite a lot.
Yeah. Hopefully, in the next week or two, I'll have like a full-on Harry Potter sized novel, which will be exciting to not think about editing.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So we can move on to the next subject, I believe. Probably,
all right. The next subject of me talking about what I've been doing.
Yes.
Hey, guess what? I played a video game.
You played video games?
Yeah, it's crazy. You wouldn't guess based on the shelves behind me.
No.
Yes, I actually did. I spent I did actually end up playing some video games this week. Specifically, I ended up replaying, because I mentioned last week, or the week before last, that I had finally gotten my hands on a working copy of the original Spyro game, which is a game that I very much enjoyed from my childhood, but the copy I had from my childhood is too scratched up to play. So I had to buy a new copy, and I finally got my hands on one. So I played through that, 120%ed it.
Wow.
Because in the Spyro games, for some reason there's extra completion bonus. So the percentage can literally go up above 100%. So in the first game, you can get 120%. Which includes gathering all the gems, all the dragons, all the eggs, and then going to the special bonus at the end. But I had fun doing that. I played the entire thing in a day, so I beat the entire thing in a single day. And then, but yeah, I very much enjoyed replaying that and just going through it. It's weird how I had this moment of playing through it where it's like, man, this is just a fun time. This is just a fun experience. Because it is
Spyro looks just like if you actually know how to play Spyro looks like a game that's just like, nice and fun.
Because I really love the design and the puzzles and stuff that, there's a lot of really creative stuff that happens in the game, especially in like the Dreamweavers, where it's all like, the Dreamweavers is one of the worlds where it's all like kind of dreamlike and the enemies are weird and change sizes and stuff. There's just a lot of really creative and cool stuff, and it's also very cartoony at the same time, and it's just fun. It's just a fun time. The bosses are bad, but it's not that big a deal. Yes, I played through Spyro 1, 120%ed it, which is something I haven't done in like probably I don't know, it's like 17 years or something. I haven't really played
5.
What? I was 5.
You were 5?
Yeah. Well, I played through the Spyro games
You were
pretty
5.
early in my
Wait,
childhood.
14 years when you were 5.
I played through no,
Okay.
like that is actually pretty accurate.
Interesting.
I played through the Spyro games pretty
Okay.
early in my childhood. Actually, funny thing, I
Wow.
don't think I've mentioned this, but Spyro 3 is the first game I ever 100% completed by myself. And I was definitely like pretty young when I did that. So, you know, the Spyro games mean a lot to me. They're part of my early childhood in terms of games, which I guess shows my age because I wasn't born in the 90s, so obviously, you know. But that's whatever. But on top of beating Spyro 1, the very next day, I loaded up Spyro 2 and 100% completed in a day. So I played through Spyro 1 and 2 within a day of each other. Spyro 2 is just the Spyro 2 I have a bit of a weird history with because it's a game that I completed technically. I played through all the levels, but I never had beaten the final boss until a couple of years ago. So this is the officially second time that I've ever actually beaten the final boss in Spyro 2. Even though I played the game a lot as a young child. You know. But Spyro 2 is really fun. It evolves, you know, it has a lot of good voice acting and has Tom Kenny as the voice of Spyro and a lot of different characters. He's the voice of SpongeBob, if you don't know.
I did not.
Yeah, Tom Kenny is. I love Tom Kenny as a voice actor, man. I'm kind of rambling at this point. I didn't mean to, but
That's how we. Okay.
sorry.
I say that's the whole point is that we ramble though.
No,
right?
I know, but I realized like I was just talking about what I've been doing this week, and I went on like a half tangent about my love of Spyro, which is not something I entirely meant to do, but you know what it is. Yeah, Spyro 2 is fun in its own way. I will say I talked about before how I had complications with my PS2 eating PS1 discs in regards to like when I play PS1 games on my PS2, it scratches up the disc really bad and eats them, which I think is just a problem with PS1 discs. I haven't tried a PS2 game on them in a little bit, so hopefully it still works in that regard. But I played these games on my PS3, which shouldn't technically mean a lot, but I feel like playing it on the PS3 changes the controls slightly. Like I feel like it gives it like a slightly higher frame rate and changes the controls ever so slightly. But
even though the last time you played it was a bajillion years ago.
Well, I have played the Spyro games recently. It's just semi-recently. It's just in terms of like actually playing through them fully and getting everything in them. It was a while ago. I mean, I also played through the Reignited trilogy semi-recently, which was the remake trilogy of the Spyro games. I didn't play through all of it. I only got through like the first level of the first game. Well, I just didn't want to play through it at the time because I wanted to go through a bunch of other stuff.
Makes sense. We have slightly different definitions of playthrough, but yes.
Well, did I say playthrough? I just meant like play.
You played through as in you got from the first level to the last level, or
in the Reignited trilogy?
or you opened it up?
Well, I played the first world essentially. I got through the first world in the first game of the trilogy. So I did play through like some of it. I just didn't want to continue it at the time.
Okay, I get it.
What was I going to say? Yes, Spyro 2. I completed that. Ripto is dead, completely buried in lava. He's the villain. And yeah, that's, I think, mostly what I did in terms of gaming this week. Let me think. Yeah, I think that's the only thing I did in terms of gaming this week. I did download like 3 games onto my PC that I was planning on playing through, but I haven't gotten around to it yet. So those, look forward to me rambling about those in the future. I I'm also planning on playing through Spyro 3 to 116%. Because it feels very arbitrary that 116% is the full completion of that game.
Yeah.
It's funny. But I'm planning on playing through that once I resurface the disc so it doesn't have any scratches on it. And then I'll probably play through the Reignited trilogy just to see the differences. Yeah, I think that's all I did in terms of gaming. I also did a lot of yard work. Like I mowed the lawn. I mowed the lawn completely. I did a lot of yard work. I cleaned up my room more. And by clean up my room, I mean removed a bunch of nails from the floor, which was fun. That was a fun time.
Nails that were in the floor or nails that were lying around on the floor?
No, in the floor. Well, yeah, it was in the floor because my room I have quite an old house, and the rooms had built-in carpet. Like the floors were all originally carpeted.
I get what you
and
mean.
the stuff that held the carpets in place were these like wooden slats with nails in them on the edges of the room. And those things are nailed into the concrete floor. So, I took up a bunch of the slats recently because those are still kind of laying around. So cleaned up my room more, which was fun. That was a fun time. And yeah, I think that's about all I did this week. I'm always kind of unsure how far in detail I should go about certain things, especially in regards to gaming. It's like, should I talk about in depth what I played in regards to that, or does that become boring after a while? It's like, what should I do? I don't know. Anyways.
And this morning when I got up, I brushed my teeth with a purple toothbrush, and
no,
I went like this: 1, 2, 3.
No, obviously not. Yes.
Just start going through your life story if you can't think of anything.
2 years ago,
Go through my life story.
Before that, this happens. Like, what are we talking about? Oh, I'm just telling
Something
you my life
like,
story.
I was born on blank, 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 and grew up.
I was born in 1963.
I was born in darkness.
Molded by it. I didn't see the light until I was already a man. And by then, it was nothing to me but blinding. God, the fucking voice effect on that guy is ridiculous. Tom Hardy playing Bane, freaking ridiculous. Love it though. I need to stop saying It really bothers me that I say it so much because it just whatever. Yes, I believe that brings us to the end of what we've been talking about this week, because I think that's all I've really done that's worth mentioning. Like I could go more in depth about me playing Spyro, but it is like I played through the games. It is what it is. I don't really have much more to say about it other than just talking about it more. But whatever. Hey, you guys could play Spyro.
We could.
Yeah,
I think I literally have a Spyro. We literally have Spyro, right, Beth? Yeah.
Do you?
The Humble Bundle.
Yeah, we got it in the Humble
Did
Bundle.
you get the Reignited trilogy?
I believe so.
I have actually no idea which Spyros.
Yeah, I believe it's
it's probably the Reignited trilogy if it's PC.
Yeah.
Which is the remakes of the 3 original games.
But are they better? Or are they worse?
I don't know. I can't play them.
That's a matter of opinion. I personally, there's some stuff about the Reignited trilogy I don't like from a design standpoint about what they changed.
Oh no.
But that's just me being vaguely picky and also not enjoying censorship. That's basically what it is. Basically, okay. The censorship boils down to, in the final levels in Spyro 1, the enemies use guns and grenades. because they're in like this military harbor, so the enemies are using like guns. In the Reignited trilogy, the guns are changed to like paint goop launchers.
What?
And the grenades are changed to like powder kegs.
That's silly.
Also,
The
yeah,
grenades are changed to powder kegs.
yeah, big powder kegs.
That's
Wow.
Because that's more cartoony, I guess.
really dumb.
Like, I don't know.
I love that. How it's like, yes, you
I
can
mean,
throw
it's
people off
stupid.
cliffs. That's child friendly. Throwing people off cliffs.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I agree. We don't want to encourage kids to use guns, but I think literally just the presence of a gun versus
No,
people like
it probably no, definitely not. Yeah, it also in the second game, something similar happens with like these guys, these other enemies that have like hunting rifles get replaced with slingshots. The other major bit of censorship that I know about is, sorry, this is a tangent, but the other major bit of censorship is there's like a genie character in the second game who was called Bombo. His name got changed because implications.
because they don't like the name Bombo.
Well, his name was Bombo, and he threw
Does it
bombs
sound
at
too
you.
much?
But he's like this genie. He's this weird genie
Oh.
character that flies on. He's this weird genie character that flies on a magic carpet and throws bombs at you during one of the mini games. And his name's Bombo. The implication for those of you who I don't know are innocent of mind or don't connect things that don't exist is the vague connection to, you know, what are they called? Why can't I remember the words?
Describe it.
Like, come on, brain.
I mean,
What's the
words-
religion called? I know you know it's in there
Hinduism?
somewhere.
Hinduism.
No,
Zoroastrianism.
the thing. Well, I think
Muslim,
I guess it technically. What is it?
Taoism.
Muslims. The thing. What is it called?
Okay.
Oh,
Radical Muslims.
What is it called?
Islam.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what it's called.
I
I
wasn't about to say
genuinely
other
could not
Muslims.
remember.
They changed the name because of that. Okay. Yep.
Yes, they changed the name because
okay,
he's
whatever.
Because it's like this Arab. It's like this desert
Oh!
fantasy Arab styled level, and
I
he's
don't
this
care.
genie
And
character
it's
that
Bombo.
wears. His name's Bombo.
Ugh,
It's like a
Oh my
whatever.
gosh.
It's what like
Wow.
Not a problem.
it's whatever. It doesn't like whatever.
No, that's funny though, because it's like one of those things where it's like, oh, there are people who nonsensically conflated people being Arabic with bombs, and then people also conflate. I mean, it's not nonsensical. I can
The
see
other
where it
thing,
comes-
you know
it
what
is
else is
nonsensical,
weird?
but I
That
see where it comes from.
game was originally released in the 90s, before
I
9/11
know.
even happened.
No, I know people
So
would
it's like-
conflate it. So this is a case
Oh.
of people reversing it and saying, well, because some people have conflated it, we're going to do the full opposite, and anything that could be conflated as it, even though that's not the intent.
Personally,
Oh
I don't
my
think it's that
God.
big a deal. It's just a name, and it's just unnecessary censorship.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I thought it was because people had mispronounced it as bimbo, and they thought that didn't sound very good. Because that's depending on who you're talking to, that's offensive. And so that's what I had thought.
Bimbo.
That's why I thought they would change the name, because Bombo
No.
sounds too much like bimbo.
No.
Well, that
No.
would be silly.
Yes, but no, they changed. That's like the only other piece of like general censorship that I know about that happened in the games. Which is really personally, I just don't get, like, it's just unnecessary. Like, his name doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, but changing it at all is bringing attention to something that wasn't even there to begin with. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's one of those things where preemptively changing something because you fear there might be attention drawn on it unintentionally brings attention to it. Because people who know it changed are going to bring attention to it.
Dumb.
So it's ultimately just a lot of unnecessary, like, weird drama that for nothing.
10 of the most racist characters in video games. Number 9,
Bombo.
Bombo. Made before 9/11 happened. 9/11
Yeah,
retroactively made this
he's
character
like
racist. Even though he's not even a racial character.
he isn't even wearing he's wearing like a turban, and that's it. Like, he's wearing a turban. Yeah, because he's like a genie type character. He's wearing a turban, and he's just, I don't know. He doesn't.
What, can we not use genies anymore?
Like, he doesn't even actively reference his bombs. It's just something he throws at you because you're trying to get a flag from him.
Yeah, it's not uncommon that video game characters are sometimes named after their weapon for some reason.
To be fair, I think
It
we've
seems
talked about
like-
Bombo a little bit more than we've talked about anything else in this podcast.
You know, you're probably right. So let's move on. Anyways, yes. Sorry about the slight rant. I just went on a tangent about the Reignited trilogy. Anyways. So yeah, I think that effectively wraps up what we've been doing this week. So let's dive into some trailers, presumably that you may or may not have watched. I don't know.
That's true. I may or may not have watched them.
So first up is a trailer for Sketchy Fables, a gameplay trailer. Sketchy Fables is a hand-drawn adventure game, or a hand-drawn first-person sort of adventure game where you go around this sort of surreal hand-drawn world with a bunch of different like weird art styles from like what's the term, from like pixelated like blocky colors to more like oil painting stuff, like oil paintings, and then like crayon, other like a lot. There's a lot of different like weird art styles mixed together in the completely drawn world, and it's a surreal adventure game where you just go around the world and talk to people. I don't know if there's a specific goal. Usually there isn't with these kinds of games, but you talk to characters, look at the interesting weird environments, all that good stuff.
Cool.
Apparently you solve mysteries in the game as well. So there's that. Anything to talk about it in regards to this?
I do not care for the art style personally.
Well, I mean, it's
at all.
it's fair, I suppose. And that is like the main selling point. So
I'm like, I don't like it. I'm not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's not supposed to look like. I'm not sure if it's supposed to look appealing or not.
I think it's supposed to look appealing. I think
Oh.
here's the thing. There's a lot of games that they make that are really creative and new ideas, and there are a lot of people that find them really good, and then the average gamer is going to be like, yeah, this isn't really for me, because they're not made for the average gamer.
Yeah,
they're made for those people. And I look at this,
I'm
and
not the average gamer, Devin.
Right.
Below average.
They're not made for the average. They're not made for people. They're not made for general populace. They're made for this.
Yes, I know.
Okay.
But I'm giving my opinion.
Okay.
well, it's fine if you don't like the art style, but it's supposed to be this. It's intentionally supposed to be kind of surrealist in
You
its
have trained you
nature.
to be bad on purpose.
Well, no, I mean, there's like surrealist art is not for everybody in general. Like, you know, like stuff that is intentionally surrealist is usually pretty divisive. It is really cool that it is completely hand-drawn, though. Like, there's only a couple games that come to mind that actively sell themselves on like completely hand-drawn art style, you know? And this is one of them. But personally, I understand where you're coming from, Matthew, but personally, I very much dig the vibe and art style of the game itself. I also just I'm always fascinated by this genre of game, if I can even call it a genre, since the games that subscribe to it are kind of few and far between. But there's this very specific type of genre of game where there isn't necessarily a overarching point, but the main goal is just to explore the weirdness, allow yourself to be, explore the weirdness, enjoy what you're looking at, and do simple tasks along the way. In a way, which, stuff like Soda Drinker Pro is a good example of this, where the whole point of Soda Drinker Pro is to drink a soda. And that's it. The whole point. So there's a game called Soda Drinker Pro where the whole point of the game is to just drink a soda. And you do that in a lot of different weird, in multicolored, strange environments. Like there's a bunch of
level the goal is to drink a soda?
Yes,
or
there's multiple different levels, and in each level the goal is to just drink a soda. And and you press right click to bring the soda to your mouth, and then left click to drink the soda. Like you could literally just do that and go to level to level, but the main sort of point is to explore the weirdness of each level. So Soda Drinker Pro is one of these types of games that comes to mind. Also, I feel like the main originator of this concept is LSD Dream Emulator, which is a game from the PS1 era in the early 90s, which was about dreams. The story behind the game is that essentially the main sort of developer behind it cataloged all of their dreams and sort of made a game based around the weirdness of it. So that's sort of like one of the first of its type in regards to this. I guess you'd call it a genre.
Okay. He's like, yeah. There's another one that I saw a video on where you blink and time moves. I think it's actually literally called something like you blink and time moves.
Oh, interesting. That's cool.
And that's the entire game. You literally just watch a movie with this weird concept where you blink and time moves, but you're only allowed in the scenes for as long as you don't blink, and then you get moved to the next scene. And the game uses eye recognition to check if you're blinked or not. So
that's
you
cool.
can't. Yeah,
it's cool.
But like you can't cheat it. So you sit there and you're like watching the movie. You blinked just a second, and then boom, you're in the next, and then boom, until you skip chunks of the movie.
It's very interesting.
Power over it. It's amazing.
Yeah, I would definitely agree that that's kind of in this weird genre of surrealist kind of games that don't necessarily have a point, but as like them being weird is kind of the point. And like I said, I've always been drawn to these games because they hold a very special place in my mind of just like I don't know, there's this weird feeling about them. They kind of reignite my love of exploring games when I was a kid. Because when you're a kid, games seem so vast and bold, and you wonder what's over the horizon of the mountains, even though there's nothing because there was nothing put there. So these types of experiences kind of reignite that love and wonder for like, what is actually over there? What if you could explore past the mountains that don't exist? It's that kind of weird experience that you only really get when you don't quite understand what video games are. Cool. But anything I've kind of been talking myself, but anything to add or just talk about yourself, Devin?
Nope.
Because I feel nope. All right.
Nope.
But yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and Matthew already gave his point of view, right? Okay. well, I mean, you didn't specifically state what your feelings are about this particular game.
Oh yeah, I didn't actually. I actually agree with Matthew. I don't like the art style. I don't.
Okay. That's fair. Like I said, that's fair.
Yeah, yeah. I'm one of those picky people. If I don't like the art style of something, I will just not like the art style of it.
Yeah.
I will judge it solely on that one characteristic.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah. If I like the art style, then there are other things that other hoops you have to jump through. But if I don't like it, like, why? No.
Yeah.
It's just a little too weird for me, I think.
All right, that's fair. Yes. Sketchy Fables. I do not know when it is coming out, for this is only a gameplay trailer that does not give you a date. So look forward to whenever it may drop. I certainly will. Next up on the docket is a Voodoo Detective. We'll probably go through this one a little faster because I think there's less to talk about. But Voodoo Detective is a point-and-click adventure. It is an old school point-and-click adventure in the sort of style of like Broken Sword and those old like more adventure-y styles. With I really like the voice acting. It very much does give me that vibe of like old school point and click. But yes, Voodoo Detective. You are a voodoo detective. Who would have guessed? You
Certainly not me.
you let's see, what is this guy's name? Yes, you you play as a voodoo detective who is going to who in this particular case is solving the biggest mystery he's ever come across, which is the story of every detective noir game. You know, that's not really an insult. It's just that is kind of the story. It has this nice drawn animated art style. With like a nice sense of humor buried into here as well. Like humor is subjective. I can't really describe the humor of it, but it's, you know what I mean. It's like it has it's very like dialogue based humor. Yes, you're set on a small island overrun, steeped in both voodoo culture and leisurely lifestyles. The mysterious woman no past stands at the center of a drama so profound the threads of reality are threatening to unravel, according to the description. This game is also let's see. Yes, but Voodoo Detective. I mean, I presumably you guys don't have a lot to say about this, right?
No.
Yeah, that's not a massive surprise considering we've talked about point and clicks before. They're not really up your alley.
Yep.
Yeah. Personally, I really enjoy this style just because of how old school it is in terms of.
I mean, it doesn't look. We enjoy it, but this does not look like an interesting game to me.
That's fair. Yeah. That is completely fair. But yes, Voodoo Detective. Like I said, I kind of thought we'd go through this quick just because, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is already released. If you wish to purchase it from your local PC vendors, such as Steam and otherwise, it came out the May 24th, so you're good on your way if you wish to have a gander at it. But yeah. I feel like that's really all I can sell for it. Well, not sell for it, but talk about in regards to Voodoo Detective, just because, I mean, it kind of is what it is. You, like, you know, I enjoy the style, and that's really all I have to say about it. But yeah, that's Voodoo Detective. So moving on to the next, and we'll call this the final trailer, since the other one isn't really noteworthy at the moment. So, final trailer is Metal Hellsinger. This is a first-person shooter rhythm game. This is not the first-person shooter rhythm game that we have even talked about or seen. If you recall, many a moon ago, we discussed Gun Jam, which was also a first-person shooter rhythm game. This is another in this, I suppose, now new forming genre of first-person shooter rhythm games. However, it is entirely metal. It's entirely in the genre of heavy metal music, which is, I understand if that's up to taste, really.
Hey,
But,
heavy metal is my cup of tea. I just don't like drinking more than one of it.
Makes sense. But yes, it is heavy metal based, so lots of screamo and all the tides of heavy metal, or just metal in general. The first person shooting looks fun and well done in its own right. You're doing stuff to the rhythm of the song going in the background as well, like shooting enemies and all that. It appears you're presumably some kind of, I don't know. The visuals seem to suggest that you're in hell, which I suppose makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose the main focus is kind of the rhythm action and not really the setting, but it does appear you're in some kind of hellish landscape with demons to kill and all that good stuff. And yeah, anything to add? Either of you?
I'm not super into metal. Music,
all right,
but
that's
being
fair.
honest.
That is true.
That is fair.
I could tell that from like before I clicked open on the trailer. Because I've listened to metal and there's some of it that I'm okay with, but just like a bunch of screaming with metal screeching. I know there's more to it, but still.
All right.
Very
describe metal like that.
Very diplomatic of you. I appreciate it. All right. What about you, Devin?
I don't know. It looks like a fighty game with music.
Well, it's a first-person shooter.
It looks like a first-person shooter game.
Well, the main, like I said, is the main sort of draw and mechanic is the fact that it's a rhythm game, so you're doing all of your actions to the rhythm of the music, even if it is a first-person shooter. Which I've only seen like 2 of these.
Okay.
So it is interesting that this kind of weird genre is taking off. To me, at least.
Cool.
And I am a fan of metal myself. I do. I don't know. I listen to a lot of weird, varied music, so metal comes up every now and then, but I don't know. It just depends on my mood, I guess. Personally, what I have heard of the soundtrack of this game, though, I have quite enjoyed. And I will say they are getting like the music isn't self-produced. It's from like popular metal bands.
Oh.
So that is actually something that's very cool about the game itself, is that it's getting a lot of music from actual metal bands, specifically like Serj Tankian, one of the bands that they're getting, or at least people, because there was another trailer that was talking about specifically that music that they're getting for the game, which is cool. But yeah, rhythm FPS set to heavy metal music and heavy metal visuals, which is actually, that's a good way to describe the visuals. The visuals are the album cover of heavy metal tracks. That's a good way to describe it. It's very much in line with what heavy metal visuals usually are. Which is completely fine because it looks good.
Yeah, no, it looks like Doom.
Yes, I do like the graphics. I will say that.
Yes,
the graphics and the aesthetic look good.
All right, good to know. But yeah, it's headed to your local consoles and PC sometime this year. We do not have a specific date. It is just coming 2020. So sometime this year, you'll be able to find it on Steam, the Xbox, and the PS5 for those who care to find it on anything other than Steam, which I guess is a lot of people. I don't know. But yes, suppose that's all really needs to be said, unless either of you have something else to add. All right then, excuse me. Yeah, heavy metal, or what was it called? Sorry, Metal Hellsinger. I only said the name of the game like once. It's Metal Hellsinger. So yeah, look forward to that if you're into heavy metal music and rhythm-based shooters, which is probably kind of a narrow crowd, because I mean, like rhythm shooters is kind of a new concept, so I would suppose it's kind of a narrow crowd, but I don't know. Clearly, there's some kind of audience for this.
Yeah.
Yes. So, moving on to host topics. Do we have any?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, okay. I'm just going to take over the host topic thing just briefly, just because I had a realization the other day. Or not even the other day. It's just The Last Jedi. I like The Last Jedi. I know this is coming out of nowhere, but
yeah, that's
I like The Last Jedi a lot.
Okay.
But I've come to the realization that Holdo as a character doesn't need to exist.
You think?
She is entirely a plot device and does not need to exist. Her entire purpose could be taken over by Leia. Like, seriously.
Who then
She
died?
exists purely because Leia is unconscious.
Yeah.
Like, she is a plot device. I guess she also serves so Leia doesn't die when she does the ramming speed, light speed thing.
Because Leia couldn't do that.
No, because they need Leia alive. Oh, whoops, Carrie Fisher died. Well, I guess we're just gonna have to scrape the bottom of the barrel for her performance in the last film. Oopsie daisy. I don't blame them for that. It's like, no, like her death was very unexpected. So it's like they did have to just kind of crumble together some stuff for the last film in that regard.
They could just start with a funeral also.
Well, I mean, it's like, yeah, that probably would have been a better idea.
Yeah.
But whatever. I don't know. Rise of Skywalker is still a fun film. It's just not good. But in terms of The Last Jedi, I did have this realization of like, Holdo as a character just doesn't need to exist. The film would be better if she didn't exist. Because then Leia could take whole like.
You're like the
Leia,
hardcore, Aaron. You're like super hardcore Star Wars fan. You're like, I actually like Rise of Skywalker.
I do.
I know.
I've talked about this before, but I physically cannot dislike anything Star Wars. I came to that realization once I walked out of the theater of Rise of Skywalker and said to myself, you know what? I like that movie. I was like, well, I guess I can't hate anything Star Wars related.
I mean, that's a good thing.
I came to.
I
can have like.
Wait, what about? Oh yeah.
Here's the thing: I can have nuanced opinions about Star Wars. I just can't hate anything related to it.
Makes so much sense.
You know. So yeah, I am the Star Wars super fan apparently, who doesn't believe Holdo should exist.
Fair enough.
Fair. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I could go into more detail, but it's like that's just like a personal opinion I came to recently. It's like, yeah, that movie would be better if Holdo doesn't exist. Then they could spend more time developing. Like if the casino planet with space horses has to exist, they could have spent more time developing it and less time on a superfluous character.
Yeah, and they could have brought in the actual like hacker. They could have actually brought in that hacker that they mentioned.
Oh yeah,
some trader
hacker, the real hacker, and not DJ.
The funniest thing to me about Holdo is that she only exists. She exists as a plot device, but I am pretty sure she only exists to annoy the audience. To annoy a specific section of the audience.
Very possible.
She's so annoying, but not actually annoying enough that everyone's annoyed by her. Just annoying enough that a bunch of people will say she's a really strong character because she beat the bad guys and did this heroic sacrifice. And a bunch of other people will say that wasn't earned. And also I hate her because she's super annoying. And then an argument starts up because some people say she's good, some people say she's bad.
Yeah.
People say
I
she's
guess
good.
I would kind of believe that.
It's personal.
Ryan Johnson was kind of what's the word? What is the like?
I have no idea.
Fucking word. Like he did kind of actively annoy the fans.
Yes. Yes. And so it lines up that he was making Holdo to be.
Well, that's the thing. It's like I don't necessarily believe Holdo was conceived just to annoy people, but he, as a person, definitely did actively annoy the fans on purpose with certain things he's said. So, you know, it's like that's not out of his wheelhouse of things he would necessarily do. It's just, you know.
Yeah. And it's not like he's a horrible person who ruined Star Wars or anything. I think that was ruined when it was sold to
honestly, if you want to point fingers at who ruined Star Wars, you better point them at J.J. Abrams because he's the one that did the fucking first film.
You're not gonna say prequels?
If I said prequels, that would somehow. Okay, here's the thing. Apparently, Star Wars was killed off by Disney, even though Star Wars was killed off by George Lucas 20 years before the sequels even came out. Apparently, it's Disney's fault that Star Wars is dead, even though it was George Lucas's fault that Star Wars is dead.
Killed by two people at radically different times.
Yes, Star Wars was killed by two people at radically different times. Really cool.
Star Wars was brought back to life. And Star Wars was brought back to life recently in the past few years by the release of the past year or 2 years or whatever, by the release of that new movie. That new Lego game.
Right, yes. You're right. The Skywalker trilogy.
Yeah, that resurrection.
Whatever it's called, I don't remember.
So now someone else can kill it again.
Skywalker Saga, that's what it's called.
Skywalker Saga.
Yeah, someone else can kill it again, then Lego can revive it again.
Yeah.
Lego's just like waiting for someone to kill it so they can make a new game to revive it.
Yeah. Also, to answer.
No, they actually did that though. Because think about the timeline. So the timeline is George Lucas makes Star Wars. He kills Star Wars with the prequels. The first really good Lego game comes out for Star Wars. Everyone loves it. Star Wars is back. Actually, Star Wars gets rebooted. The first,
well, I mean,
brought back by Lego again.
Yeah. Your timeline doesn't exactly. Your timeline still works, but the first Lego Star Wars game actually did come out before Revenge of the Sith. So
and it had deleted scenes from Revenge of the Sith in it.
It also had an original soundtrack originally because they didn't have the movie soundtrack to pull from. So if you go back to the original release, it has its own music for like the Mustafar fight and all of that stuff. And then that was changed in the complete saga to the actual film score. So it is what it is.
Okay, I have not actually played that game, so I cannot say that I knew that.
What, the complete saga or the original?
The other thing.
The original.
The original?
We only complete the original.
So okay. That's fair. I mean, the complete saga was easier to come by for a while, so makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, it was a re-release of like the first two Star Wars games with the 6 films, so it was technically easier to come by because it was newer at the time. Anyways, you get the point. Yeah. But yes, also, I this is going back to a pointless topic, but the name of the character, like when you were talking about the code cracker, whatever. What is it?
Code breaker.
Code breaker, and they find that guy. His name is DJ. Like, he actually has a name.
Oh.
His name is DJ. But the name, it's never stated in the film, and his name is DJ and it stands for "Don't Join" because he says that.
He hasn't. Okay.
Yeah, this is dumb.
This is the kind of thing that makes me like Ryan Johnson, because he's creative and funny. But he's creative and funny and also annoying.
Yeah, like
He's so well rounded.
I don't know. I feel like this is entirely off topic at this point, but I do feel like his trilogy could have worked. I feel like, because he didn't have any.
Oh, yeah.
The interesting thing about Ryan Johnson,
if Ryan Johnson had had full power, creative power over the whole trilogy and had been able to make it to his vision, I think it would have worked.
Yeah. The other interesting thing about that is, like, he clearly doesn't have any nostalgia or care for Star Wars, which is why he did what he did.
It would, yeah, that's fair.
You know, he clearly didn't have any actual nostalgia or really cared that much about Star Wars as a franchise, but he wanted to do Star Wars because he wanted to do it his way. You know, like there's a lot of people that have done stuff like that, where they take a franchise that they actively dislike and do it in their own style because they understand, they see the, you know, the potential for what it is, you know, because there's a lot of films that get made like that. But yeah, so I'm just going to call that post topics over, because I went on a small tangent about Star Wars and Holdo not being a character that should exist. Anyways, so let's see how much news we can knock out of the park before we have to end this thing. So, let's do the most important ones first. So, remember last time when we talked about the what was it called? The King's diversity tool, the Blizzard diversity tool thing.
Yes, that hilarious thing.
The stupid thing. So, so staff at Activision Blizzard have come out and criticized this quote unquote dystopian diversity tool. So staff at Activision Blizzard.
Don't disagree.
What'd you say?
I said I don't disagree with that label.
It makes sense. So staff at Activision Blizzard have criticized the company's diversity tool that was revealed. Whatever. Known as the diversity space tool. Yeah. So okay. So in the original article, it had a portion regarding apparently people who were working on Overwatch 2 were like, oh yeah, this is cool. So if the portion about Overwatch 2 was removed mostly because we're not using it and didn't know it existed until yesterday, apparently said senior game designer Dylan Snyder on Twitter. So apparently Activision kind of lied about the vaguely lied about the Overwatch team actually saying they thought this was a good idea. So that's fun.
Well, it is Activision.
Yeah, they originally mentioned Overwatch 2 team was experimenting with the tool, but has been since removed because apparently they were not. That's always a fun thing.
We've developed this new tool our team has been using.
Yeah, that's always a fun thing to just lie. So Overwatch character artist Melissa Kelly also commented on the tool. God, in her quote, God, I swear our own company tries so hard to slaughter any goodwill the actual devs who make the game have built. Overwatch doesn't even use this creepy dystopian chart. Our writers have eyes, the artists have eyes, the producers, directors, etc. As far as I know, also all have eyes. That's a quote from a character designer on Overwatch, Melissa Kelly.
I don't know. I feel like you should have some blind programmers. That chart should inform them about the blind representation that they need in their programming state.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I guess a blind person could actually do game development. They just couldn't program.
Yeah, I mean they could. I feel like it would actually be very interesting to get a blind person's ideas, because
for video games,
like they can't see, so
yeah,
it would be very interesting to know like what they quote unquote perceive and think of the world around them for something, you know?
Yeah,
I think that would be actually really cool.
You know, funny. My joke actually turned out is like, no, that's actually a
well. I mean, the joke still works because yes,
But it is still a decent idea.
Yeah, no, it's like, yeah, like honestly, like just because this is the thing we were talking about last night. Just get different perspectives in your team. Don't make a dumb tool that measures diversity on a scale of 0 to 10. Like, God, it's just so stupid. Anyways, Valentine Powell, senior UI engineer on World of Warcraft, also said, so this is the first time I'm ever seeing about this diversity space tool. The way we actually increase representation in our games is to have diverse game devs in the rooms where decisions are made. There is no substitute for lived experience. The correct opinion on the matter. I'm not gonna. I was gonna be slightly snarky about his quote because, like, World of Warcraft has had some bad writers as of late, and the lore and stuff has been weirdly bad. But it's like, it's whatever. It's like, he's not lying. It is how you make good content. It's
Aaron,
writers haven't been great recently.
They never said that diverse writers make good writing. They said
no, that is true.
They make diverse writing. Because what actually makes good writing is good writers.
Yes, that reminds me of I was watching. I came across an interview with George R.R. Martin recently, where he was asked about the diversity, in like, books and stories and fantasy, and like, hey, what can be done to change that? And his answer essentially was like, well, it's predominantly been written by white old guys and a lot of it is based upon old Europe and other stuff, which is predominantly white people. And, like, that doesn't, like, that's but he also brought up, is like, that's what is successful. Like, he brought up, basically his final point was like, it's kind of on the consumer to make diverse stories popular.
Yep. Because
if consumers buy something written by an old white guy and it's successful, the publisher will keep publishing stuff by old white guys.
Yep. Because
it's like
money.
he even references by name several diverse writers.
I think
I don't remember
the guy who wrote Witcher. He's like Spanish or
yeah. He mentions specifically by name in the interview a couple of like diverse writers that he considers good and has done good stuff. And it's like, it really is kind of like, people write what they know. They write what they're familiar with because that's what they can do. Tolkien wrote what he was familiar with. He grew up in old English towns and was originally born somewhere else. I think I don't actually know the history on that.
I mean, and he also wrote, he was trying to write a myth for Europe.
Yeah, that's the other thing. He was specifically writing a myth for Europe.
Tolkien inspired all of this nonsense with fantasy stuff, and he was trying to write a myth for Europe.
Yeah,
so to follow and say that all of these fantasy stories are based around Europe. Yes, because that's where they came from.
Yeah, and that's the other thing that bothers me about people who ask questions like, what can be done to diversify fantasy. It's like, you do realize fantasy exists outside of mostly white countries, right? You do realize that there are successful writers and movie stars outside of America and England, right? They have their own mythologies and backgrounds that they write about.
But why is America so white-centric in their stories?
It
makes no sense.
I don't know. I couldn't
just look at the demographics of America. It's like 12% non-white. Where is that 12%? 100% of all of these popular stories,
are
based on Tolkien. If you ignore a couple of them,
and then like I said, ultimately it just comes down to like, the consumers are really the things that determine whether something is successful or not.
Oh yeah.
And if it's successful, it'll keep being made. It's why a lot of businesses get away with so much shit, because most people just give them money and they keep doing their terrible practices. Anyways, it's whatever. Anyways, going back to the article, Blizzard themselves, sorry, that was kind of like a weird smash cut away from that. That was very odd. But yeah. So Blizzard themselves have also commented on they've commented on the response, noting updates to the original blog. We recently shared a blog post that raised questions about how we approach diversity in our games. While the prototype tool, I read that incorrectly. I almost read it as stereotype tool, even though that's exactly what it is. While the prototype tool has been tested internally, it is not in active use. Our dev teams have always and will continue to drive in-game content. We have updated the post to clarify the purpose of this tool, which is virtue signaling,
which is the virtue signal.
Sorry?
Which is the virtue signal.
Yeah, exactly. Which is one small component of our broader DE&I efforts. Is not intended to be a replacement for diverse perspectives. We regret any offense that the original post may have caused. Yeah, sure, that fucking like they actively lied. Like yeah, the diversity, there's also a bit about this article that references the diversity space tool. The diversity space tools can delineate between token characters and true representation, but measuring how diverse a set of character traits are, essentially uncovering unconscious biases while designing characters. Which, doesn't make any sense, but whatever.
It is not delineate, by the way, it's delineate.
Delineate. I can't read. I think you'll find. So yeah, that's about it for that article. Just, yeah. More bad PR for Activision Blizzard. God damn, where's the bottom of the barrel for them, you think?
I don't know.
Because they apparently haven't reached it yet, which is surprising.
I mean, there are worse things than doing a dumb move.
You're right. That. They have already done them, and now they're just doing more dumb things. It's very strange.
Yeah.
Yes, let's move on to our next, and probably we have a bit more news to discuss, but we're just going to discuss this last bit of news because we're getting close to the time crunch thing that I mentioned at the beginning. So let's just get through this. So Sony recently the new God of War game, God of War Ragnarok, has been talked about quite a bit recently, and Sony has come out specifically listing a bunch of accessibility features that will be in the new God of War game. So, Spider-Man. So, according to them, not only have we... Sorry, what? What did you say?
Spider-Man. It's the new accessibility.
Sorry, I was skimming past some parts that I was trying to get to the meat of this subject.
It was really funny.
So not only have we redesigned our UI to allow for more flexibility and readability, but we have also rebuilt controller remapping from the ground up and added more customization to our combat and interaction system. We have retained all our accessibility features from 2018's God of War and expanded upon them to include more than 60 ways to adjust gameplay to best suit your style and needs, reads the PlayStation blog on the topic. A number of features, including the PC version of God of War, have been carried over into Ragnarok. Specifically, there will be an auto sprint function, a persistent on-screen dot or reticle, and toggle options for aiming and blocking. It's pretty useful for, people who struggle with stuff like that. A variety of other options are new to Ragnarok. Numerous improvements have been made to substitute and... Let me just open that up. Sorry. Numerous improvements have been made to subtitles and captions, not just in their visuals, but in their function too, such as expanded sound effect options and direction indicators for critical gameplay sounds. Then there are text and icon size options, the ability to remap the controller, a high contrast mode to apply color to in-game objects and people, navigation assist to orient your view, traversal assistance and wind jumping, traversal assistance wind jumping, audio cues for interactive objects, and more. And apparently there's still more to be shown. Here's another quote. We are committed to improving accessibility and customization for everyone. We can't wait to tell you details about our other categories of accessibility features like combat, aim assists, puzzle, minigame assists, HUD adjustments, camera turning, auto pickup, and much more, reads the blog. Sony's also created an audio description version of the game's reveal trailer from last year you can watch. Well, that's cool. So they created an audio description version of the trailer so you could, watch it without being able to see. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, that's so lots of really cool accessibility features are up for in the PlayStation blog itself. It goes into more detail about the overall specifics about the changes, such as subtitle and caption size, where we have increased our maximum text size, added new scaling. This includes an extra large text size to make subtitles and captions more readable. We also dedicated a target larger text area to match TV and movie subtitle standards. So you can get them very big in the captions, and they're like very seeable. If you want to read through the specifics, I recommend looking at the PlayStation blog itself. Because if I read through all the specifics, we'd be here for a while. So but hey, I'm always up and keen for new accessibility options, or just accessibility options in general for any game, because everybody deserves to play games. Everybody deserves to have the ability to play the games, in their regard. If you're colorblind or have certain disabilities or blind altogether, or can't hear, it's like a lot of these things should be, or like controller remapping, like being able to remap the buttons however you want. Like that's a feature that I feel like should just be universal across all games at this point.
Yeah.
The fact that it isn't is kind of weird, but I think it's good. Accessibility is good. Allowing lots of people to play games, just in general, if they normally can't.
Yeah.
There's some kind of cat meowing in the background.
Oh, in your house.
It's probably fine. Don't know why. There's a cat meowing quite loud. I don't know what's up with him or her. I don't know. Hold on a second. I'm very sorry. All right, we're fine. She just wanted attention. It's fine. She was really loud though. It was like, Jen, I'm wearing headphones and listening to you guys, and she was on like the other side of the house. She was really fucking loud.
Wow.
Cats are loud.
Yeah, especially when they want fucking attention. She's gonna get all the attention she wants tomorrow because she's gonna get a bath.
Does she want that though?
Yes, all cats want baths.
I don't believe you.
Anyways, sorry about that interruption. Cats, man. But yes, the accessibility options in God of War. I'm very happy. I am genuinely quite happy with them, even though they don't really apply to me because I don't have any, disabilities that would require me to use any of them. But I am always happy and glad to see accessibility options, especially when they are not just, especially when it's just not just like, hey, we gave you a difficulty slider. Is that good enough? Because like actively, doing things for people with actual disabilities and problems that would actually inhibit their ability to play. Not just because you're bad at video games. Sorry. But yeah, anything to add?
Does it help if we make the game easier for you? No, I still can't see that the stop sign's red.
Yeah. In a weird way, I feel like that kind of was accessibility in games for a while. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
I feel like we didn't really start getting colorblind options until the 2010s. Which is like, you know, it's like it is a big deal, but it's not like the biggest of deals. It's like it's one of those things where it's like it kind of makes sense because gaming was kind of like a dead market in the 80s and then was revived by Nintendo when the NES was released and then got super popular again throughout those eras, and you know, it is what it is. Ultimately, gaming has still kind of always been like a vaguely nerdy pastime until semi-recently, so you know. But yeah. So anything to add specifically or otherwise? All right, cool. But yes, I suggest looking at the full features on the PlayStation blog post, which you can find in the description below if you wish to look at it. On that does it for news. We did have a bit more, but like I said, we're on a time crunch, so that's all we're going to cover for today. And next week we'll cover 2-week-old news. Fun times.
Yay!
Yay!
No, that was a questioning yay.
Yay! Because that is it for news. So fuck me. Shameless self-promotion, the part of the show where we promote ourselves shamelessly. There we go. Matthew, what have you got coming up and or to promote?
Nothing at the moment.
All right.
Because branding is not the fastest thing in the world.
All right. Sounds good. What about you, Devin? You seem pretty active in regards to content.
I know. I just made a video the other day where I hung out with some college kids. Totally not like 5-week-old footage. No, that was like the other day. And I've made some other comedy sketches on my Mr. Wolf channel. I almost have a video that has 3,000 views, which is very exciting.
Nice.
It is yet again not my content though, which is really funny. The only 2 videos that have really blown up. That's not true. There are 3 videos that blew up. One of them was mine. The other 2 were me taking something I thought was really good, getting permission to use it, but very important. I had permission, and the permission is absolutely essential. If you don't do that without permission, that's bad. But with permission, it's suddenly like, oh my gosh, this is actually like extra good because
Yeah.
I get to have views and also be happy with myself.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so that's it though. I guess unless you want to watch Minecraft videos, I've got my Minecraft channel almost hit 100 subs, I think.
Oh wow.
Let me see. What is it at? What are we at? We are at 94 subscribers still.
Nice. Are you gonna make a milestone video when you reach it? The milestone?
Probably. I mean, my initial plan was actually to shill for Arcane. I reached 100 subscribers. I will now then make a video asking 100 people to go watch Arcane, or if they've watched Arcane.
Makes
like
sense.
On campus or something, which would be hilarious.
I see. It's like,
yeah,
have you seen Arcane?
Yeah.
No, they probably have. Arcane was pretty popular, so, or still is, I presume.
Man bullies 100 people.
If you wanted to do that, you could just start a pranking channel.
A Franken channel?
Pranking channel. A prank channel.
Oh, a pranking.
Yeah.
No.
What? You don't want to be a dickhead in public?
Yeah, wow.
Well,
Nope.
if you call it a prank, then it counts as a prank. So just run up to
No.
someone, grab
It's
their
not
wallet,
sexual
Stop.
harassment. It's
grab their
pranking.
wallet, call it a prank, and then run away.
It's
I've
the
got one,
pepper
ready?
spray
Okay.
prank.
Prank.
Okay, I've got a prank. It's called the slash your wrist prank. I might get arrested for it though.
See, what you gotta do is you take this here knife here, you rub it across your wrist until you start losing consciousness, and
Be
bada
better.
bing, you pranked. The prank is that you're dead.
Welcome to the
Gotcha.
stab prank. Today we're gonna be stabbing people. What?
Yeah.
It's okay. We're wearing what's that thing called? The turban. We're wearing turbans, but we're not using bombs. We're stabbing people. So it's okay. It's not
It's
racist.
completely fine.
We just run up to people starting to shout things. Oh, this is sounding like a terrible
You know,
idea. No.
not to be depressing, but if you were in a fairly
No.
southern part of America, there's
You could
like
be-
at least a 90, there's at least like a 70% chance that if you wore like a hijab or something and started screaming gibberish at people, they might actually believe you're
Yep.
big.
Oh, sure.
Don't do that.
No, don't do that at all. I'm just saying, you
People
know,
have guns, guys.
no, don't do that. I'm just saying, like, it's kind of,
Hmm.
it's, you know what I mean? It's one of those, it's like, people are dumb. Anyways, but that's what you have lined up.
I presume. I'm not really sure what I said though. I'm a little lightheaded. Yes.
Have you drinking enough water today?
Nope. I haven't drunk any water today.
Well, that would
I
explain
spent
the
the last week
lightheadedness.
drinking enough water. I can stop now.
Get water
That's
now.
not how that works. You always need
Says
water.
who?
Just because you overhydrate for a month doesn't mean you won't die in 3 days. Not drinking water.
I don't know what logic you're using, man.
Space logic, obviously.
Yeah, clearly making stuff up here.
Some kind
Okay.
of moon
Sure.
speak.
You go try that. We'll see how it goes.
Yes.
I am trying it right now by not having
Oh.
drank anything today.
I will force you into the kitchen then.
I suggest not doing that. Man,
Yeah,
why am I so red?
Oh.
I'm red in the face for some reason. All right. So that's what you have lined up in the docket. I suppose, even though you don't remember, you shilled for kind of all of your channels, and that you mentioned the recent video you had.
I sure hope I did.
I think you did a good
You
job.
did.
Okay.
I mean, all of your channels
time.
can be found in the description, so it's like,
Yep.
woo! No, if you want to find them, they might still be labeled incorrectly
I do change my channel names.
because you change your channel names kind of often, so they might still be labeled incorrectly from
It's
before.
definitely not your fault.
It's whatever.
Yeah, it doesn't seem
Well,
important.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's fine. Yes.
Definitely not your
So sorry, I'm reconfirming this for a third time, but
Oh
that
my
is-
gosh, no, stop
is-
reconfirming.
all right.
Got it.
What have I got coming up this week? Well, nothing in particular. I'm still vaguely working on the difficulty. I feel like I'm always kind of teasing the difficulty is not accessibility video that I have in the works because of me keep continuing to bring up in these videos when we talk about accessibility. I feel like I'm vaguely teasing it every time. But it'll be out eventually, probably
be a
within the
good
next
video.
month if I actually buckle down and fucking write the thing.
Do it.
Other than that, obviously the podcast will continue to be uploaded, come out every week on Sunday. Even if we miss a week, it'll keep coming out. So you know. And obviously you can find the podcast and everything on YouTube and SoundCloud for if you just want to see our faces or if you want to see our faces but not listen to the audio, go to YouTube. If you want to listen to the audio and not see our faces, go to SoundCloud. It's
But if
simple
you
as
want
that.
both,
If you
Go
want
to Rumble.
both, watch the video while listening to the SoundCloud audio, obviously, because that's the simplest way to solve this problem. I get a view on both of them.
That sounds like a very bad idea.
Yes, obviously.
I'm
also
sure
on-
everyone wants to sync that.
Everybody would definitely. I'm also on Twitter.
No, it's
but I
better if
only
you watch it
release-
unsynced.
Yeah,
If you're gonna watch it with the SoundCloud audio, you better be watching it unsynced.
Make sure it's at least a minute, so it's very confusing. I'm also on Twitter, but obviously I only post when a new episode goes live and if there is not an episode at all, because I don't use Twitter at all and I don't understand because I'm an old man.
No, don't worry, I'm in the same boat with the Twitter.
Other than that, yeah, that's about it. Just gonna keep going with the podcast and maybe some other videos if I buckle down and write the fuckers. I'm also gonna keep playing games because that's the thing I enjoy.
Aaron, what if every day until you write the script, every like 2 or 3 hours, I send you a text saying write the script?
No, don't do that. Also, you'd forget.
No, not if I set an alarm.
Well, that's more suffering for you than it is me.
No, it isn't.
Because I could just block your number and not tell
Hey.
you. Anyways,
Like fair way of doing it.
yes, and that about does it for shameless self-promotion. So I don't know how much more time we have, but we've already gotten to the end, so I'm just gonna go with that. Thank you all so much for watching this episode of the GTD podcast. If you liked it, I don't know, do something. If you liked it,
like it, share it with your friends.
Yeah, only
force your friends to watch it, or
the
else
dislike button because that doesn't show up on YouTube anymore.
If you
That
really,
way,
really
I'll
liked
never know.
If you really, really liked it, say hooray, clap, clap.
Okay.
Everyone knows that song. It's a familiar song.
I can't.
If you're happy and you know it,
That's
say
what. If you're happy
something.
and you know it, and you really want to show it. But if you're happy and you know it, click the like button.
Yes, click the like button
And subscribe and ring the bell
just click the like
because
button.
YouTube is shit.
and comment.
And click the like button and subscribe. And
Why is
Yes.
ringing the bell even a thing? Why?
Because YouTube is bad.
It's not like even intuitive. It doesn't make sense.
YouTube's not bad. You guys are just mean.
No, explain it, Devin.
Yes, that is definitely. Yes, you're correct. Susan Wojcinski is definitely doing a great job.
Yeah, none of this is unclear or confusing.
No,
No.
definitely not.
No. Especially not
The
ringing
recent
bell for the like
update
button.
definitely makes perfect sense as to why you'd want a desktop app to look more like a mobile app. That definitely
Yeah,
makes a lot of
that's
sense.
very strange.
I don't know what you're talking about, Matthew. That makes perfect sense.
I have trouble figuring out where the description is occasionally.
What is happening?
Yeah, I
I'm
don't
like,
understand
wait.
that change. Actually, the most recent change
Oh, there
actually
it
did
is.
get me where I'm just like, this is annoying and change. Why
Don't
did
you love the
why?
new description where
No.
you can't read it at all now?
No.
No.
The point of the description was to be able to see a description.
Yes. It's a good thing I put everything you can find in the description and the pinned comment below because
Yeah, you're
nobody
gonna
looks in the description and YouTube is making it harder for you to care about it.
Yeah, next thing you'll know is they just removed the description altogether.
I would not put it past them to do that, honestly.
That'd be
Wow.
so annoying.
They would get way more backlash for that than anything they have done, but I would not put it past them.
And then if they remove that, they might as well remove the like button and the dislike button. Remove the subscribe button. You just get notifications from the entirety of YouTube every time.
No,
Every day.
guys.
Every upload, you get a
No.
notification.
I'll give them ideas, even if they
I
can't
don't
form
think
any
they
on
do that one.
Listen, they can't form any ideas on their own. They just steal bad ideas from dumb people.
Okay, I feel like the description thing wasn't anyone's idea. Other than their own.
I mean, making it closer to the mobile app is just what companies do nowadays for some fucking reason. I don't know why.
Well,
It's just like all websites have been doing that for a while now.
Amazon hasn't done that yet.
What website?
Amazon.
Oh, well,
Amazon doesn't have a mobile app, does it?
Amazon.
it doesn't
Prime,
have a
with the
mobile
Prime
app,
Video.
but it does have it technically has a mobile version. Like when you
Yeah,
go
which-
when you go to their website on
The
mobile, it's slightly
website-
different.
Okay.
But,
Barely. The Amazon Prime Video app is very similar to the actual website.
Yeah. Anyways. Hey.
Just because there's no point in changing it too
So
much.
I hope
Who would
you-
have guessed?
I hope you enjoyed our end of episode rant. Presumably, if you didn't want to sit through it, you already clicked off the video. But if you're still here, I hope you enjoyed, and to see you all next time.
Yeah.
And belated goodbye.
Yay,
Okay.
my favorite.